Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to each and every one of you. Hopefully you guys are all having a fantastic day today. Today I'm going to be telling you guys about the Coiled Captors DLC, sharing my thoughts, my opinions, and just kind of giving you guys a good sense of what the DLC offers and whether or not it's worth your hard-earned money. So let me start off by saying that this quote-unquote DLC should have been considered a Headhunter Pack. If you guys don't know what a Headhunter Pack is, if you guys are not, familiar with the Borderlands universe, a Headhunter Pack is a very small piece of content that's maybe at most like an hour if you're really taking your time with it. And the entire thing is just like a small little piece of, area to explore, maybe some extra loot here and there, but then the entire thing just funnels you into one new boss. That's the entire thing. It's a boss fight. It's like an hour-long setup for a new boss. So it's a Headhunter Pack. That's what this DLC should be considered as. If that's all you needed to know, there you go. That's my 1-minute review. It should have been considered a Headhunter Pack. But because Gearbox did this big giant promotional thing and calling it a DLC, it now got put into this other different category of DLC for downloadable content, and everybody expected different stuff. So now, the community, including myself, feels very let down because we didn't get a DLC, we got a frickin' Headhunter Pack. A Headhunter Pack, which, by the way, you can speedrun in about 10 friggin' minutes. But the actual content within the Headhunter Pack feels like it was cut content. Like, if you look at the world map and look at where that town is placed between Snoring Valley and the Queen's Gate, it looks like it was there from the beginning, but removed and sold separately. If you look at where it's at in the overworld between Snoring Valley and Queen's Gate, it's in this little tiny corner, like this little pocket that fits perfectly in there. It just feels like it was cut content re-added in. But the actual chamber content itself is just a worse version of Chaos Chambers. Like, it's just a worse version of Chaos Chambers. If you like Chaos Chambers, you're probably gonna like this, but it's the same thing every time. That's why I say it's a worse version of Chaos Chambers. The only difference between each time that you play it is maybe instead of a guy spawning on your left, he spawns like in the middle or on the right. Like, it's the enemy variation for spawning is the only thing that's really different. And if you played within the first few hours of the DLC or quote-unquote DLC launching, you were able to see everything. I was one of those people because when I logged onto the game, it was within a few hours of the DLC actually launching. So I was able to go through difficulty 1, 2, and 3, and then unlock the 4th. I didn't go through the 4th one because I actually got bored. So it took me about an hour per difficulty, not because it was too hard, but because I was trying to explore everything and I was under different impressions. So I was just exploring things and trying to find everything. So it took me about an hour per chamber, per difficulty, right? So I got through 3 different difficulties in about 3 hours, and then I got bored and started speedrunning it in like 10 minutes or under. You really could speedrun it in that quick of a time if you just didn't kill everything. You didn't need to kill anything. Most of the rooms had this small little mechanic of like, go rotate this pillar till all 3 shark faces line up, or, wait 3 minutes and then turn these valves. It's not a lot. They just fill an empty room with enemies and make you do a small objective. And you don't even need to kill the enemies, you just do the small objective and you're good. And each area, each room within the challenge area, each room within this chamber gives you like a slight challenge you can complete for each one, like finding all of the souls chests or meleeing like 10 enemies per room, which I said no to. Finding all of the elemental barrels and stuff like that. Like, each room has a little challenge, but it's boring and repetitive, and it's the exact same. Again, the only difference between each difficulty is the boss changes, barely. So, every difficulty, 1, 2, and 3, were all 3, it was the exact same rooms with the exact same mechanic, and the only thing that changed was the boss. So, Chums is the boss of this mirror chamber. So, Chums would eventually, each difficulty, he'd get, like, more health and more armor on, and then like maybe on difficulty 3 he would have like a new attack wave that he could do or something like that or whatever. But either way, it wasn't anything different. It was the same fight. You could still just melt him with a good build. On top of that, enemies in this DLC or quote-unquote DLC, they were literally bugged and just called missing name. You had missing name sharks in this DLC. I don't know if that was a Gearbox funny move that they're like, haha, what if like Tina just didn't name the sharks or whatever, but the community did not take it that way. So you have literally enemies called missing names in a quest/DLC thing that can take you about 10 minutes, which by the way, there's no lead up to it. You don't get some fancy voice telling you, hey, I heard a thing about this one place over here you should go check out, with like a side quest to go do it. You just have to go look at your map and then go walk over there. And then once you walk in, the stuff starts. So it's like there's no lead up to it at all. And the only other difference between difficulties is the introduction cutscene that spawns whenever you go into it. I ended up skipping it because I just didn't care. It wasn't entertaining. It wasn't anything to really listen to. So like I said, a portion of this chamber could be completed in like 3 minutes, no matter how much you killed. And I'll probably put a clip up on screen here. I was able to, I don't know if it's a cheese or a whatever they'd consider it, but if you use the Buffmeister to get extra movement speed, you can jump across the lava pool and just sit in this end cave here and just wait out the 3 minutes and then just jump back and flip the 2 little levers and then end it. Like, you don't even have to kill stuff. You just wait. On top of that, the annoying part about this is that if you die inside of the chamber, you get put all the way to the outside of the chamber and you have to start all over. So you can't just explore this area and get to know the area. If you die in like the 3rd room of this chamber, you go all the way back to the beginning of the entire chamber. For me, it's annoying. I know some people like that kind of that roguelike-esque thing to it. For me, it was very annoying. On top of that, the new loot that they've added is just a slag mechanic, which I don't know why they're trying to re-add slag when the entire community, at least, or I should say the majority of the Borderlands community has voiced their opinions on slag and how it just broke the game and should never be re-added. But now they have the soaked mechanic. If you guys don't know what the soaked mechanic is, they have a spell, a rocket launcher, and a piece of armor, or a class mod, that whenever you get crits with a gun, whenever you shoot the rocket launcher, or whenever you hit something with a spell, it will apply a soaked effect to enemies, making them take 50% additional damage from frost and lightning damage, but less damage from fire. So it's basically just like you can make a soaked build, and it's just like having slag in the game. On top of that, it makes every other poison build and every other dark magic build feel left out. So now all of these, now you're going to have a ton of people running frost and lightning builds, and no one's going to be doing dark magic stuff. And on top of that, the spell that they give you for it, which is the Tidebreaker, I actually have a video that I put out on it as well. If you guys want to go click the card in the top right corner that I'll put up right now. So I have a video on that spell if you want to go watch it, but it's just a reskin Sunder spell. It works the exact same way as Sunder spell does. So it's just, it gives you basically a slag effect for frost and lightning damage. So as a whole, this DLC was like a 2 out of 10 at best. It was like 10 minutes worth of content, completely misrepresented by Gearbox. It should have just been called a Headhunter Pack and it would have been understood better by the community. But on top of that, Gearbox definitely needs to rethink their plan for the future DLCs. They need to delay them and add more to them, because we can't have another one of these. I don't know what they would add to them or rework to them, but whatever they can, they need to delay them and make them better. On top of that, I believe that they need to delay the other difficulties for this chamber and add more to them. Just make it to where like the enemies per room are randomized or something like that, or make it to where the puzzles are different. So like you have to make it more than just the exact same room spread out across 4 weeks, and the only difference is the friggin' boss. And the boss is the same, it's just, slightly more health, oh my god, what are you gonna do? Like, you gotta have more than that. So, as a whole, as like my overall rating for this quote-unquote DLC, it probably is one of the worst pieces of content I've seen a game put out as a DLC. Really, it does fall in that category. It was a very bold move for them to qualify it as a DLC and not just like a small pack or a free add-on to the game. And I think it's going to bite them in the butt. I think a lot of people are going to start quitting the game because there's nothing to do besides grinding the new, 15 chaos levels that they put in there. That's pretty much the only thing that... And I don't even think you need to buy the DLC for that. I'm pretty sure you just get the free update that adds 15 extra chaos levels. So in terms of, whether or not the DLC is worth it, I would say no. And for those of you out there who are waiting for that Steam release before you buy the game, you probably will just have all of the content anyway, and it'll just be a much better thing to get when it's on sale. So outside of the DLC and its rocky launch, I thought that the patch that they had put out accompanying this new DLC, the patch they put out was very well done. A lot of good changes happened in that patch. I was noticing that my PC performance wasn't that great, and I have a 5950X and a 3080 in there, so if I'm getting bad frame rate sometimes, then I could only imagine what other people with lesser hardware are going to be getting. The patch overall has a lot of good stuff in it, a lot of really good changes. They definitely listened to the community for a lot of the fixes and changes in that patch, so that's awesome. The patch, I almost had no complaints about at all. So those are my thoughts on the Coiled Captors DLC. I know I might get some heat for this for some of the people that really liked it or like what they were trying to do with it, but those are my 2 cents on the matter. Those are my opinions on it, and I hope you guys do enjoy the video. If you guys do, feel free to hit that subscribe button, give me a like on it as well to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, and click that little bell notification bell thingy as well, so that way you guys get notified whenever I post a new video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys!